Marvel Snap just had a huge OTA patch with some crazy nerfs and buffs, and possibly the most shocking one was the buff that they gave to Magik, knocking her down 2 cost, which is crazy. She's at a 3-2 now. She can fit into Surfer decks, maybe C2. I don't know. Anything that she already was in, she's going to be better at now. Lots of super interesting possibilities. And today, I want to talk about 5 variants that I would love to see added into Marvel Snap. Now, I am a huge comic collector, big fan of Magik, so I definitely have some covers that I absolutely would go crazy for if they added into the game. Now, all of these, I did the Photoshop work myself. I did these myself, and I tried to pick some, like I know there's like the data mined unreleased variants for cards, so I try to, make sure that I didn't pick any of those. Well, I not tried to make sure, I did make sure not to pick any of those, and I want to do more of these videos and pick just more variants that I think are super cool from the comics. Now, let's go ahead and get started here with this awesome Sabine Rich variant, which is just an absolutely amazing cover. It's a fairly newer cover, and I just think it's very cool. One thing that I do want to note that I think is maybe a little restricting with Magik is that with her giant soul sword, I don't think it can pop like too far off of the card. I don't know. I'm sure there's like some kind of set rule about how much space the card can pop off with other things. So like some of it I'm like, yeah, they'd probably cut it off here or whatever. So I took some liberties, but I do think her soul sword is a little bit limiting as far as like how much it can, because there's some really cool covers where like she's like this big on the cover and then her soul sword is huge, but anyway, also if you like the work that I did here, I'd appreciate if you left a like, because I did do quite a bit of Photoshop to make these happen. But again, this is awesome Sabine Rich cover here, absolutely gorgeous, that I think would make an amazing card. Up next here we have David Nakayama. This is one of his negative space variants that he did. David Nakayama actually has quite a few awesome Magik covers to pick from, so there's actually, I didn't want to do multiples of the same artist. I wanted to try to mix it up and diversify, and I do love some David Nakayama, and I was trying to pick one that would look best as a card. Now, some people may disagree with me. Like I said, he's got some really other cool ones, so I'd be happy with any David Nakayama, honestly. But this is my personal pick. And again, the soul sword wasn't too big, so I felt like, ooh, I can make this pop off the card a little bit. And that felt kind of fun to me. Not a super interesting background because it's a negative space variant the way he did it. So, it's just going to be the black background. So maybe that's a con for some people. But I think the piece is so good itself that it kind of, it's fine that it doesn't have an interesting background, in my opinion. Moving on, Peach Momoko, one of my favorite covers of all time, and it might be my favorite Peach Momoko of all time as well. I do actually have this one. It's going to be really hard to see, but it is right there. I have a graded copy on my wall back there. I absolutely love this cover. There is an unreleased Peach Momoko Magik variant, but it's not this one, and I'd have to look at it again, but I think she might even have another Magik cover that's better than the one that's in the unreleased variants. I think this is the definite one they should add into the game. I love this cover so much. Her sword looks amazing. She's got a lot of hair flying around everywhere that I think, once it's like 3D animated and stuff, I think that would look super fun to move around and mess with. And it's just an absolutely gorgeous piece, and I'm a huge Peach Momoko fan, so this is it's an easy slam dunk for me. I would definitely spend cash money to get the gold to make this happen. Another thing, I think, in my opinion, now granted I'm coming from more of a comic perspective, but I think it'd be kind of cool if they do the bundles in the shop. I think it'd be super sweet if they did like 3 Peach Momoko covers, for different cards or whatever, and did like a Peach Momoko bundle that was like, I don't know, whatever, $20 or, the prices change depending on the number of credits and gold and whatever else they throw in there. But I think that would be super cool. You would be targeting people that like a certain artist, which I think is an easier way, at least for me. I don't know if the whole Marvel Snap community would agree. Because would it be, but like they included, what was one of the recent ones I got? It had like, it was the summer, the beach one, so it had Cosmo, Wave, and Namor, and now granted I didn't have Wave yet when I bought that one, so I was like, well, that's pretty good, and the Cosmo variant was great, so I was like, okay, I'll go ahead and get this one. But as a fan of certain artists, I feel like if there was a Peach Momoko that popped up, or an Art Germ that popped up, like I would definitely, no question about it, be spending some cash on the variants very easily, for me, in my opinion. But I'd love to know what you all think about that. As we move on to the next variant, though, we have a Russell Dauterman, and Russell Dauterman is a super, super awesome artist as well, and I think he also has some other pretty good Magik variants. I decided to go with this one because I wanted a different kind of costume. Magik is known for her black, trademark costume, but she does have a few other different ones as well. I actually didn't include a Hellchild, which is like her demon form. I thought about it, but there's too many other good covers to go through. So maybe in another day I'll include that one into a different video. But I did want to include her gold suit as well, because although I still don't like it as much as her black suit, her classic black suit, I do like this gold armor, and I think it's a pretty cool costume, and I think this would make a really, really sick variant. And then we're moving on to our last one, which is a super, super iconic Magik cover. I think it is her like most coveted variant. This is the Art Adams. It was I want to say it was like a 1 in 20 ratio, maybe a 1 in 20 or 1 in 25 ratio variant. I can't remember. I think it was 1 in 25 actually now. Very, very hard to find. This is a pretty pricey comic, and I'm a huge Art Adams fan. To me, this is very classic. Like, I can't think of Magik without thinking of this cover. This is for fans of Art Adams and for fans of Magik, this is a very, very hard book to find. And it's a super sweet cover. I love this one a lot. Now, again, I had a slight problem of like, I don't think it'd be fine if the sword came too far off the card, so I just got not too much of hers off the card on this one, but I still think it's a striking cover. I really, really like this one. And yeah, that is my final one. I would love to know what you all think about the ones I chose. If there were any other ones you would maybe choose instead. And I would definitely want to continue making more of these for different characters in the future. So if you're interested, consider, like I said, leaving a like at least for my Photoshop efforts. And then also consider subscribing to the channel, because I do plan on making more Snap content. I do have comic content on the channel as well. And yeah, so maybe you have a little bit of a bleeding, maybe you're kind of you're a Marvel fan but not necessarily a comic fan, and maybe you want to learn a little bit more about some of the comics and stuff. And I'm always on here talking about the new comics of the week and stuff like that. But my newest addiction is Marvel Snap. Loving the game so much. And yeah, definitely have had fun making these, doing the Photoshop for these variants and stuff, and definitely want to talk about more variants that I definitely want to see in the game, because that is probably my biggest complaint. I say that lightly, but my biggest complaint of the game is I feel like their variant game is kind of weak. I know the game's not been around too long, but I feel like there's and granted, again, I'm a huge comic fan, so like I know all these awesome covers, and it kind of drives me crazy that they're not in there. So yeah, if nothing else, if you're a Marvel Snap player and you just want to see some cool comic covers maybe that you didn't know about for some of your favorite characters, definitely consider checking out more of the channel. And I appreciate everyone for hanging out and watching the video, and I'll see you next time.